See if it's something to look into. Hey, Ori, how are you, darling? Um, I'm doing a live on TikTok tonight too, so I'm doing them both. Let's see how that goes. Hey, Vincy Lou Who, how are you? Uh, hey, Quinn. Nice to see you. Hey, Annelise. Annelise, you are my guinea pig tonight because not only am I um, doing this on YouTube, reading this on YouTube tonight, I've also got TikTok going live, so I'm going to be doing both. And we're going to see how this works. I don't know. Never done the TikTok live before, so we'll see. Whew. I really need to get this room cleaned up. It's a lot cleaner than it was. So, why are you so freaking excited, Nina? Oh, for the book? Yeah, it's got a DILF in it, so of course you're gonna want it. Quinn, I am doing great. How are you doing, honey? It's a daddy book. I wanted to put up. Okay, we're just gonna leave it like that. Let's see how this goes. And of course, YouTube gets my worst side. Oh no, Quinn, I'm so sorry. I hope she gets better, Quinn. Vincy, are you done with all your kids? And Nina, you better stick with it tonight if you're gonna be using that toy. Yeah, I got people on YouTube, TikTok. I got people on YouTube that's using toys over here. That's how dirty this book's gonna be tonight. Who have I got with me up there besides Miss Debbie? Well, that's good, Gwen. Glad she's fighting it. Vincy's got her hot flash kit out. Debbie, talk all you want. Won't bother me any. I just go back and forth. Oh Lord, honey, there is no level on kinky that we don't do. Trust me. Um, Nina's version is kinkier the better. I like some meat to the story, not necessarily some meat to the story. I don't care about that part. I just want to have a good plot and fill in. Ooh, sweet treats. Fancy, did you finally get rid of all your kids? Yes, you're kid free. I see that now. I have got the horniest bunch of women that follow me ever. Ever. I need some kink talking on here too, don't I, Debbie? Alrighty, y'all ready? It's 8:05. Let's get this party rolling. Alright, so prologue. Hey, 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 hey! How are ya? Is that Michaela? Getting ready to do some live reads. Hey, Caitlin. You get to watch me on my live reads tonight, so. Alright. So, Domesticated by Daddy, A Deal for Father's Day by Annelise, Reynolds. So, prologue, Serena. And y'all, I'm going to say it right now. About 7:15 or so, I picked up this book and started reading it. Got through 3 chapters in about 30 minutes. So, and it's good already. So, and it is based in Georgia. So, honey, guess what? I get to talk normal tonight. I don't even get to try to hide my voice. So it's going to be good. Caitlin, you like some kinky talk? I got some coming up here pretty soon. So, all right. Prologue. Serena. Oh, I need glasses. I can't see the damn thing. Yeah. Serena. I took another sip of the screwdriver someone had bought me. The dance floor was crowded and I was feeling good. I didn't think anything of the firm hands grabbing onto my hips as I swayed to the beat of the music. My eyes closed and my cup was raised in the air. It felt good to let go. Forget the world that I had both loved and hated being a part of. With a socialite for a mother and a district judge for a father, I was raised by a string of nannies, most of whom didn't last long with my high-strung mother hanging around. Not that either of my parents was ever home in the first place. I know what they say about me at school. They think I get around, and I guess in a way it's true. Guys go on dates with me, sure. I like attention as much as the next girl. I've had a few of them even kiss me, but I'm the opposite of what they think. One of my dates lied about sleeping with me, and I never bothered to correct his rumor. After that, any date I had ended up adding fuel to the fire. It became a sport, pushing the envelope and seeing how far I could go to piss off my parents. Daddy just had to make a call to the station to have me released. He's done it many times over the years. I was 18 now, and in the fall, I'd be far away from mom and dad, away from this place for good. Come on, baby, let's go find somewhere and somewhere a little quieter, just the two of us. I turned my head to look up at the guy behind me that I'd been dancing with for the last 15 minutes. My eyes drifted up to his tan arms until they briefly met the light blue eyes staring back at me. Um, he looked older than me, but still had boyish features. I didn't remember his name, but it didn't matter. I wouldn't be going anywhere with him despite the drinks he had bought me. Not interested anymore. I'm just here to drink and have fun. He pulled me back flush against him. I could feel the hardness of his body and the stiffness of his cock against me. I sighed and shook my head, breaking his hold on me. Look, I'm not interested in leaving with you or a quick screw. Since when, Serena? His expression changed to one of barely masked scorn. Do I know you? He might have gone to school with me at some point. He might have gone to school with me at some point, but I didn't recognize him. Yeah, I was a senior when you were a freshman at Calvert. Even us upperclassmen knew your reputation. I tried to place him, but I couldn't. I had no clue who he was. Don't you remember me? Don't remember you, but it doesn't matter. I didn't sleep with you in high school, and I'm not sleeping with you now. I moved off the dance floor, slightly swaying. My girlfriends were still dancing, but the ass hat had ruined my mood. I know I'm the reason he thought what he thought, but it never bothered me before. None of those guys I dated in school had gone farther than a makeout session. Once their hands started to wander, I cut them off. When they kept up with the wandering hands, I broke up with them. My reputation was solely based on assumptions, and I wasn't about to let some asshole with a semi hard dick try to turn this assumption into realities. With my night over, I grabbed a bottle of water from the bartender and headed for the door. The flashing blue and red lights behind me were blinding. I groaned and pulled my car to the side of the road. Once I parked, I turned off the car and grabbed my purse, digging my wallet and a stick of gum out before quickly popping it into my mouth to cover up the smell of alcohol. I rolled down the window and looked up at the officer. Hi, Officer Maddox. How's it going? Where are you coming from this time, Serena? Oh, just out and about. What seems to be the problem? Pretend to be a dumb, innocent blonde. It was far from the truth, and it's not the first time this has happened. The hot Officer Maddox and I have been down this road before. You and I know what the problem is, Serena. We're both smarter than you playing dumb, so cut your shit. Your dad sent me to get you, so lock up your car and come so I can take you home. Again, not the first time this has happened. I knew there was no chance in fighting this, and while I liked pissing Dad off, I didn't want to piss off the police any more than I already did. Orange is not my color, and I was playing with fire as it was. I grabbed my purse and a bottle of water, slid out of my car, and locked it before making my way back to the cruiser where the fine Officer Maddox stood with the back door open, ready to take me home. All right, Nancy, get ready. Comes your voices. Chapter 1, Tyson. You wanted to see me, Your Honor? I walked into Judge Crawford's office. I'd been in the man's courtroom a few times. He was hard but a fair judge. But I'd never been called into his office without having a case being overseen by him before. That was a new one. That was a new one. I was clueless as to why he wanted to see me. Yes, have a seat, Mr. Blake. I took the chair across from him and waited for him to break the silence. He had arranged this meeting, so I was going to let him lead it. I need your help, Mr. Blake. He finally broke the silence and looked up at me over the rim of his glasses. His dark hair was more salt than pepper, and the crow's feet at the corners of his eyes were pronounced. He looked tired and worn out. What can I do for you, Judge? My daughter's out of control, and I'm sure you've heard the rumors about her. He looked at me pointedly. I can get that judge voice down right. I haven't got that right yet. All right, enjoy, Caitlin. He looked at me pointedly, and I nodded. He looked at me pointedly, and I nodded, confirming I'd heard about her escapades. People talk, and courtroom gossip travels faster than you can pull out. Uh, I have a proposition for you, Blake. He sat back in his leather chair and closed the file he had been flipping through. You're a single dad and in debt up to your eyeballs from school loans. I'm willing to help you climb your way out from under those loans, and in return, I need to hire you. I need you to hire my daughter. Hire your daughter as what exactly? She's barely out of high school and has a reputation for getting in trouble. I'm I'm aware of my daughter's reputation, Blake, as I've tried my best to circumvent the long-term impact her behavior has had on her future. She needs responsibility and to learn that there are consequences to her actions. I'm failing to see where I come into this, Judge. I don't have a job available that she's qualified for. He pushed his glasses up on his nose. A regular job, no. But she can be a nanny for your daughter. I didn't see that coming. Judge Crawford was asking me to leave his daughter, whom he couldn't control, in charge of my daughter. You're kidding me, right? No. I'm going to offer my daughter a deal. If she wants her inheritance and trust fund when I'm dead, then she will agree to be your live-in nanny until she goes to school. Live in? I clenched my teeth. Yes. She needs to know I'm serious about this. Serena won't have any options left to her. She will either be your nanny and help you out, or she will be cut off and on her own the next time she does something that will land her in jail. She will face consequences one way or the other. And if I say no, if you say no, then I'm left with no choice but to take the option away from her and just cut her off. Irritated, I stood up to pace the length of the chamber. She's young, and I didn't want to be the deciding factor of her future. Crawford knew that I'd fucking have to say yes. Getting rid of my student loans would help my own daughter too. You're leaving me with an impossible choice, I ground out. I am. My daughter needs to realize the world doesn't revolve around her. I understand that, Judge, but if she's so out of control, how do I know that she's going to take care of my daughter? I put emphasis on my daughter because I didn't trust that she'd do what she's supposed to do. Hire a babysitter to help out until you're confident she can take care of her. I'll pay for it. I dragged a deep breath. I dragged in a deep breath and ran my hand through her hair. This was a bad idea, but saying yes could potentially help both his daughter and my own. If I do this, you'll keep out of it. She'll be my employee. If she endangers my daughter, she's fired, and you keep your word about my school loans. Agreed. I took a deep breath and studied the man across the desk from me. This could all blow up in my face, but being free of my debts was too good to pass up. None of this comes back on my career. From this point on, I won't be in your courtroom as a conflict of interest. I'm not taking any chances on my career. You won't have to worry about me conceding cases to you as a favor, he said harshly, like I defended him in his integrity. I'm not worried about you doing that, Judge. I just don't want anyone to be able to speculate that it happened that way. My career is just as important to me as yours is to you. I'm not going to risk anybody raising a brow or second guessing either of us. He relaxed again. His face that was red with indignation started to relax and calm. I understand. I'll make sure that you don't end up in front of me in the courtroom. Good. I reached out across the desk to shake his hand. When do you want her to move in? I was hoping that I'd have a few days to prepare for her. I had to discuss everything with Olivia and withdraw her from the daycare center, plus find a sitter as a safety net for Serena. I'll break the news to her tonight. She'll be there Friday evening, so she can get to know your daughter over the weekend with you there. All right. I'll let you know how much the sitter is. I turned to walk out the door, but he stopped me. Oh, and Blake, whatever happens, my daughter cannot know I'm paying you to employ her. I want to teach her, not humiliate her. I nodded and left without another word to him. My schedule was full for the day, and I hadn't planned on this meeting. I wasn't prepared to have another woman in my house. My wife had been gone for 3 years. 3 years since my life was turned upside down, and I had a feeling it was about to be upended again. Chapter 2, Serena. Hey, Miss Shirley. My father left me with no choice. I pouted for days. I argued with him and my mother, trying to beg them not to do this, but my father's mind was set. There was only one option open to me that wouldn't land me in the poorhouse or worse, in the big house. I pulled my Mercedes in front of an older craftsman-style house. It was dark blue with white shutters and a wide front porch. The large driveway led to a separate two-car garage. It wasn't bad, but not the big modern home I'd lived in with my parents. Tyson Blake. My dad had told me his name and that he was an assistant district attorney with a young daughter. He hadn't told me much else about the man or his family. He just told me that I'd accepted the job or be cut off and my trust frozen. I got out of the car and shoved my phone in the back pocket of my shorts. It was hot outside, even though it was already after 5 in the evening. But that's Georgia in the summer. Amen. I grabbed my purse and popped the trunk so I could grab my rolling bag. A dog barked from the neighbor's yard, and across the street there was some guys not much younger than me playing basketball. They'd stopped playing when I got out of the car. I knew they were openly staring at me as I made my way up the three wide steps on the porch. I ignored their stares and rang the doorbell. I was looking down and shuffling through my purse when the door was opened in front of me. The little girl was cute, with her wavy brown hair and gray blue eyes. She looked like she was up to something. There was a hint of mischief in her beautiful eyes. It was the man behind her that caught my attention and my breath. He was younger than I was anticipating, with his chestnut colored hair and dark green eyes. Hey, TikTok, come on in and have a seat. Well, I guess they're gone. They disappear faster on TikTok, too. Damn it. I'm not here to get involved with a married man. I told myself immediately when I realized that I was attracted to him. Shit. Hesitantly, I took a breath and offered a smile to the pair. Hi, I'm Serena. I briefly met his gaze, but it was so intense I looked down to the kid. She was safer, not so intimidating. Come on in. I'm Tyson Blake. You can call me Tyson. This is Olivia. He nodded down to his daughter. His voice was a firm, rich baritone as he made the introductions. The silky smooth sound of it washed over me and caused my belly to quiver. I'd never had this kind of reaction to a man before. It took me by surprise and sent my pulse thundering through my veins as desire pulled in my core. He gently pulled the little girl back, allowing me to move into the entryway. Olivia, go watch your show in the den. I need to talk to Serena before dinner. Okay, Papa. Without another word, she skipped down the back hall, leaving me alone with her father. We stared at each other for a few seconds. If he felt the pull to me that I felt to him, it didn't show. But of course, it shouldn't show since he was married. Married. Off limits, Serena, I chided to myself. We'll talk in my office. He nodded to the open pocket doors behind me. Leave your bag here for now. His voice was firm yet gentle at the same time. I nodded and moved my bag out of the way before heading into his office. It was supposed to be the formal living room, but he had made use of the space. The built-in shelves behind his desk went from floor to ceiling. They were filled with leather-bound books. The large wooden desk faced the entryway, and the small seating area was in front of the big bay window that had a pink cushion and a small shelf of kids' books and a few stuffed animals. He created a spot for his daughter even in his work life, and a jab of envy hit me in the chest. Have a seat, Miss Crawford. He moved around the desk, and I took one of the chairs across from it. Is your wife joining us? I asked, looking toward the photo of him and his daughter with a beautiful woman on the shelf over his shoulder. No, my wife passed away, which is why you're here. I'm sorry. I felt bad for bringing her up. It wasn't until I was sitting across from him that I noticed he wasn't wearing a ring anymore. Thank you. It happened a few years ago. She was hit by a drunk driver. My daughter was also in the car. I swallowed, a lump building in my throat as shame burned through my chest. The amount of times that I'd driven when I shouldn't have played in my head. I'd been fortunate to never hit anything or anyone, but I could have, and that made me feel something deep inside that I hadn't felt in a long time. Guilt. I'm going to be honest, Miss Crawford. I didn't want to hire you. You are here only as a favor to your dad. Your indiscretions are well known, and City Hall gossip travels faster than a man can pull out. He gave me a pointed look, and I squirmed under his gaze. God, I felt like I was in the principal's office all over again. Only this was way worse because I was on the edge of discomfort and desire. What the hell was wrong with me? Hey, everybody. Chapter 3, Tyson. Fuck. I prepared for a lot of things when Judge Crawford asked me to have his daughter come stay with us, but being attracted to her was nowhere on the list. I had planned on laying out the rules for her and what I expected of her as long as she was under my roof. The second I opened the door and saw her standing there, none of that mattered. Her short shorts were inappropriate to wear in public. I hated that the guys across the street had been watching her ass when I opened the front door. They were in high school, closer to her age than I was, and that knowledge pissed me off even more. She was too young and totally off limits. I just had to remember that she was here for one reason only, to grow up. While you're here, there are some rules you'll need to follow. There will be no drinking. You're underage for one, and two, you've had enough run ins that should have landed you in juvie. Your dad protected you. I won't. You'll suffer the consequences of your decisions, especially where alcohol is concerned. She sat back in the chair and crossed her arms and legs. Her expression was a cross between being bored and curious, but she didn't say anything, so I continued. Your clothing needs to be appropriate around my daughter. What you're wearing now looks like you're about to start turning tricks on the street. Don't wear that around the house or my kid. You are here. Set a good example. I didn't ask for this, she hissed at me, giving me all the attitude I could see building inside of her. Yeah, you did. Your lack of consideration for your parents and the law were your way of asking for someone to step in and take charge. Your parents can't or won't do it, so here we are. I leaned forward and placed my elbows on the desk. And let me tell you, Serena, I won't be taking your shit. You will obey the rules and do your job, or you will have consequences. She rolled her eyes at me and shrugged her slim shoulders. It took everything in me not to round my desk and pull her over my knee. Whether this girl knew it or not, she was begging for a spanking, and it'd been a long time since I'd had a woman over my knee. You can't dictate what I wear. My house, my rules. Give me your phone. I held out my hand for her cell phone. When she handed it over, I turned it off and reached under the desk to put it in the safe. I'd bought a cheap phone for her, one without her old friends and bad habits waiting at the tips of her fingers. Slim, soft, manicured fingers. I clenched my teeth and chided myself for noticing how graceful her hands looked. Fuck me. This was going to be the longest. Oh, I'm so glad. My dad works in a nursing home. That is awesome. I've always wanted to go read to the residents out at the nursing homes. This was going to be the longest fucking summer of my life with this girl around. She was already testing me with her attitude. This is your new phone. I'll give your other one back when you go home. My number, your parents' numbers, the sitter's number, and emergency contacts are all that you need right now. I handed her the temporary phone. I mean it, Serena. No more drinking, no more partying, and no more revealing clothing. Her body was visibly shaking with anger. When she leaned forward, her hand splayed wide on my desk. I stood up and met her head on. You're not my father, she gritted out. No, I'm your daddy. Your father wouldn't spank your ass. I will. Nina just come all over herself with that one. I hadn't meant to say that, but it was out of my mouth before I could stop it. Fuck, she got to me. Day fucking won and she was under my skin. Hell, one fucking look at her and she was embedded so deep I was hooked. You can't do that! Her voice was little more than a breathless, ragged whisper. I'm an adult. No, baby, you're a brat. I won't consent to this. My father wouldn't have consented to this. Serena was sputtering in disbelief and outrage, and part of me wanted to tell her she was right. There was no way in hell I'd ever touch her without consent. But I sure as hell would convince her that this is what she wanted and needed. Your father left the terms of you being here up to me. All that was said in front of you were options. You can go home, be cut off from your trust fund, and try to make it on your own. Or you can stay here and play by my rules. Your rules are demeaning. says the girl with her ass cheeks hanging out of her shorts. I heaved out a heavy sigh of frustration. I shouldn't be doing this, but it was out there now. She knew what I was about, and she could run screaming. I was going out on a limb and a hunch that her intrigue outweighed her outrage. Look, it's simple. I won't force myself on you, Serena. You will be respectful to me, my daughter, this house, and most importantly, yourself and the future you want to achieve. My rules aren't in place to be mean or take away your freedoms. They are in place to keep you safe and happy. She swallowed hard and moved toward the bay window to look out at the street. Her arms were crossed over her chest. I knew she was irritated, but it wasn't hard to see that she was aroused too. I'll leave you alone while you think over what you want to do. When you're ready, you can come to the kitchen to eat dinner and to get to know Olivia. Jackie, you're in luck, sister. Liberty needs to be on here. Let's see. I wanted to pull her in my arms and comfort her, but she wasn't ready for that yet. Serena needed to recognize that her life was out of control and she needed help to get herself straightened out. Until she came to that truth, she'd keep self destructing no matter what I did. Serena was quiet and still looking out the window when I left her in my office. When I walked into the den, I couldn't help but smile. Olivia was watching her favorite movie for the thousandth time and playing with her dolls that were inspired by the movie. I'm going to finish dinner. Go ahead and put your dolls away, I told her, moving into the open kitchen. When we bought the house, Delilah and I had slowly made upgrades to it. The kitchen was her baby. Everything in here was the way she had wanted it, and I couldn't say no to her. It was the biggest fix, and it was the place I always seemed to miss her most. It was no different now, but with that ache also came a dose of guilt. Delilah's death gutted me. We were high school sweethearts, and she'd been by my side after college, working to support us and raise our daughter while I finished law school. The day she died, a piece of me died with her. I haven't felt a pull to anyone but her until I opened my door and found Serena Crawford waiting on the other side. It was instantaneous and wrong on so many fucking levels. Hey, 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 hey. How are you doing tonight? Chapter 4, Serena. The book is, let me go ahead and tell you again, it's Domesticated by Daddy, a gift for Father's Day by Annelise Reynolds. So anybody that might be willing to, that want to go out and buy it, they can. I don't know if it's on KU or not. Nina, have you taken a moment to put down the pricing and all that for me, please? Serena, Chapter 4. The smells from the kitchen and the rumbling of my stomach gave me the push I needed to leave the safety of his office. I wasn't scared of Tyson Blake. I was terrified of what he made me feel. Butterflies danced in my stomach, and my body felt achy with unfulfilled need. Even with all the dates I'd gone on, I'd never gone all the way with a boy. My body wasn't on fire for them. They didn't make my pussy wet with need and my nipples ache with excitement. I felt more in the last 10 minutes since walking into this house than I did making out with boys for an hour or more. This may get me put in TikTok jail. I don't know. I've heard of people doing that before. So we'll see. I may get banned from TikTok, y'all. Ugh. Facebook never banned me for my life reads, though. KU and 99 cents. Oh, y'all, look, it's just 99 cents. Go buy the book. Forget KU, just buy the book. Because there's some kind of special going on. Amazon right now about books and earning some book money or something. So, I don't know. I need to go read it. I saw another TikToker talking about it on Book Talk. Even with all the dates I'd gone on, I'd never gone all the way with a boy. My body wasn't on fire for them. They didn't make my pussy wet with need and my nipples ache with excitement. I felt more in the last 10 minutes since walking into this house than I did making out with boys for an hour or more. When Tyson said he'd spank me, I should have been outraged. In fact, I tried to be outraged at his suggestion, but he called himself my daddy, and my lower belly had sparked to life in a way it never had before. I'm trying it for the first time tonight, Miss Shirley. We're gonna see how that goes. Okay. Anybody wants to follow me on TikTok? It's myname.adkins.booklover. So go look me up. I couldn't hide in his office forever, and my stomach was growling with protest over not eating since breakfast. There was only one real option open to me. If I wanted my trust fund, then I had no choice but to suck it up and figure out how to live with this man for a few months. I found Tyson and his daughter in the kitchen, sitting at the island eating. The smell of spaghetti and garlic made my mouth water, but I wasn't sure if I should just make myself at home. It was awkward not knowing where you belonged, especially when you didn't really belong anywhere. Have a seat, Tyson said, moving from his chair and motioning for me to take the seat next to his. He moved with confidence around the kitchen as he grabbed me a plate from the cabinet and filled it with the delicious smelling pasta. It was quiet. I wasn't sure what to say to his daughter, if anything. I didn't even know how to take I didn't even know how to talk to kids. My father sent me here to take care of a tiny human that belonged to someone else, and I had no clue what to do first. You're pretty, a small, shy voice said. I looked over at his daughter, who was sitting across the island on her stool. Thank you. So are you. Olivia would be a heartbreaker someday. She had her father's medium brown hair that had a golden tone when the light hit it just right. Her lashes were long and thick, totally not fair. But she'd love them someday, and girls would be jealous as hell of them. She had a smattering of freckles across her nose, and her eyes were a light steel blue, almost gray color. If Tyson didn't know it already, he'd soon find out that his daughter would grow up to be a beautiful woman. He'd be beating the boys away with a baseball bat in a few years. That's what Papa says. She rolled her eyes, and I couldn't help but smile. She had sass and a cute personality. Her dad instilled confidence in her as a person, enough that she knew beauty didn't really matter. I thought back to my childhood and compared this little girl to myself growing up. My father hadn't always been a judge. He started out as an assistant district attorney, much like Tyson. Unlike Tyson, I can't remember the last time I had a home cooked family meal with my parents. My father was always too busy with work, and my mother had her different committees she was on. If it hadn't been for my mother's family, we probably would have been in a more modest neighborhood growing up. There's no way we could have afforded to live our life without her family money. The Lakeland family fortune and name had kept us going for years. With that name came certain obligations. That is, until this moment, I didn't even realize how much I resented it. Being rich didn't exclude you from having problems. It gave you a whole new set of problems to deal with. Well, your papa knows best. I glanced up when Tyson slid the plate in front of me. Our gazes locked and held. A shiver snaked up my spine at his heated, possessive look. Yes, Daddy does, he whispered, just loud enough for me to hear and low enough that Olivia didn't. I sucked in a sharp breath when his knee bumped against mine as he took his seat next to me. My body was frozen and short-circuiting from the small contact. I didn't eat and tried my best not to draw attention to the fact that he affected me as much as he did. Eat, he said after taking a sip of his water. I took a deep breath and started to twirl my fork in the fragrant pasta. When I took a bite, I closed my eyes and savored the flavor. There was garlic and onion for sure. But whatever else he had put in the sauce, I don't know. It was delicious. I opened my eyes and looked down to get another bite. When I saw him staring at me out of the corner of my eye, I paused subconsciously, reaching for my napkin, afraid I'd gotten sauce on my face. Quickly, I used the paper napkin to try to clean up, but nothing came away from my face onto the thin material. Did I get it? I asked sheepishly. There's nothing on your face, darling. He gave me a crooked grin, and I knew I didn't fool him. He knew exactly what he was doing to me and what I was feeling in my tummy. Butterflies. Lots and lots of fluttery, melty butterflies were in my tummy and making me ache between my legs. I jumped when he spread his knees a little wider under the countertop and his knee brushed mine again. Do you want to play a game after dinner? Tyson asked his daughter as he spun spaghetti around on his fork. Yes! Olivia squealed in excitement. Can we play hide and seek? Not in the house. Why don't we leave that for tomorrow? I don't want you running after you eat, Tyson said before he took his bite of food. Candyland? Tyson nodded and swallowed before answering. Sounds good. Maybe Serena can actually beat you for once. She laughed and gave me a huge, excited smile. No, I'm going to win. I don't mean to brag or anything. I puffed up my chest and exaggerated my speech to join in the silliness. But I was something of a Candyland queen back in the day. When I played as a kid, my own nanny spent hours a day entertaining me. I remember one weekend when mom and dad were who knows where, Kelly and I made a complete costume for the game. She'd taken one of my pink sheets and tied it around my shoulders as a cape, and we'd used a cereal box to help make a crown. It was the best day and the worst day. I also remember my mother coming home and seeing that we'd made a mess doing our art and playing Candyland. I tried to tell her I was the queen of Candyland, and she dismissed me, telling me to go to my room. I guess mom fired Kelly that day because I never saw her again. The next nanny I had was no nonsense. I spent more time hiding from her than trying to play with her. She got mad at me for everything I did. If I played too loud, she yelled for me to keep it down. If I made any kind of mess, she was quick to harp on me to clean it up. I couldn't do anything right. She was my nanny until I turned 13. That's when I started to rebel. Serena, I felt a gentle squeeze on my knee. His commanding voice brought me back to the here and now. His concerned eyes almost looking into my soul. When he when was the last time I'd seen that look? I couldn't remember. My parents ignored me most of the time and the rest of it. They were like that nanny I had all those years ago, just telling me everything that was wrong with me and what I would never be. In fact, the only positive words I'd ever heard my mother say were, "You're beautiful." Of course, she'd follow that up with a, "So you better make sure you don't gain any weight." Where did you go just then? Tyson asked, shifting his focus to me. Nowhere. I gave a forced, cheerful smile and pushed the spaghetti around on my plate again. Olivia, you finished? Yes. Can I have ice cream? Not right now. Maybe after Candyland. He got up from his seat and moved over to her. Go to the bathroom and wash your hands and face. After that, set up the game on the living room coffee table. We'll be in there after we finish the dishes. Okay, Papa. She slid from her stool and took off running. Once she was out of earshot, Tyson turned back to look at me. Don't lie to me. His voice was calm but firm. You can tell me to wait, but you don't lie to me, Serena. Lying will land your ass over my knee. And any other rules I need to know about? I rolled my eyes and heaved a heavy sigh. My nerves were shot from being near him, and my mind was at war with the rest of me right now. On the one hand, I wanted to push those limits to test him and see what he would do. But on the other hand, I wanted to do what he said. Not just yet, but you will soon. I'm trying to give you time to adjust to being here before I start doling out punishments. but you're making it difficult. That hurt more than I expected. Was he already given up on me? Everyone did. So I half expected it. But it still hurt that Tyson would give up on me so soon. I hadn't been here a day and already he was telling me I was difficult. Before I knew what was happening, Tyson leaned forward and wrapped my hair around his fist, pulling me closer to him. Get that hurt look off your face, darling. You're making it difficult because I want to dole out punishments and rewards. I'm just waiting for you to be ready. My face was so close to his. If I leaned forward just a little, I could touch his lips with mine. I was tempted, so freaking tempted. But would he taste? What would he taste like? Were his lips as soft as they looked? Would our kiss be wild and out of control? God, I hope so. If we do this now, darling, we won't get to Candyland, and I won't ever let Olivia down. Instead of planting a kiss on my lips like I wanted, Tyson raised his chin and planted a gentle kiss on my hair. I closed my eyes and breathed in his scent. The small sign of affection threatened my composure and almost brought me to tears. In an hour, I'd felt more affection and felt more wanted than I had in my whole life. Maybe being here and having Tyson as my daddy is just what I didn't know I needed. Okay, last chapter. Chapter 5. Tyson. There was more to this party than meets the eye. Serena was hiding some deep-seated pain, and I caught a glimpse of it in her eyes. She had let down her guard, and I saw her for what she was. A scared little girl was deep inside her, wanting someone to love and value her enough to care about what she did and not give up on her. Crawford was a fool, and I wanted to knock some sense into that old man. He had sent her here to get rid of her, to threaten her with disownment. What kind of father gave up on his child? I would never give up on Olivia, and deep down, I knew I'd never give up on Serena either. I was going to give the lost little girl inside her what she always needed: a firm, loving hand that gives as much punishment as it does pleasure. Crawford fucked up giving his daughter to me because there was no way in hell I was ever going to give her back. Serena came alive while we played Candyland with Olivia. She didn't let my daughter win like I did. No. My two girls were having fun, and the room was a lot calmer now than it was earlier during dinner when you could cut the tension in the kitchen with a butter knife. If I get purple, I win, Serena grinned at me, her eyes dancing with mirth. She seemed at peace, and that made my chest tighten. Serena pulled a purple and won the game. Olivia wasn't happy, but overall, she handled it well. I watched as they discussed having a rematch. Not tonight, Olivia. Maybe tomorrow after dinner. It's time to go get in your pajamas and brush your teeth. I'll be up in a few minutes to tuck you in and read you a story. Do I have to? I'm not. She yawned. Tired. I laughed. Obviously, you're full of energy. I kissed her on the head and sent her on her way. Serena and I cleaned the game off the table. Her hand bumped into mine when we reached for the colorful markers on the board. Our gazes locked, our hands frozen over the game. You need to stop looking at me like that, little minx. Like what? Her eyes belied her question. She knew exactly what she was doing to me. Like you want me to lay you out on the rug and fuck you till it's so good it hurts. She pulled her hand away slowly, her lips slightly parted, and her chest rising and falling with each breath. I knew her panties were soaked through. I think I'm ready for bed, she said softly, her eyes downcast, not able to meet my steady gaze. All right. I planned to put her in the guest room, but after meeting the tempting little minx, my heart and body had other things in mind. I never thought I'd ever use that room again. I'd been using it as storage when Olivia grew out of her things. Once I thought about renovating the pink room and making it into an upstairs office so we could have the formal dining room back. but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Deep down, I wanted to find someone else like my late wife, someone who needed a firm hand and a gentle touch. I wanted a woman that needed her daddy's brand of discipline. After Delilah died, I never expected to have it again. And truly, I still didn't have it because Serena had no clue what she was or what we could do to and for each other. Not yet, at least. I led Serena upstairs, carrying her luggage to the room next to mine. Olivia's room was right down the hall in the other original in the Olivia's room was right down the hall in the original master bedroom. One day, she'd no longer be a little girl and she'd want a bathroom in her room and a huge closet if she was anything like her mom. The side benefit was it also made it easier when she was going through potty training to have a bathroom close by where she slept. Delilah and I turned the two rooms that were next to each other into a retreat for ourselves. We had the room we shared, and through the bathroom we added was the other room that had been for her to let her little out. The pale pink walls had been her choice. She loved teddy bears and had a full collection that were now boxed up somewhere. I'd given her favorite one to Olivia after her mother died as a way of holding on to her when she was scared or felt alone. I'd left the walls pink and the white frilly curtains up. The bed was bare, so after I set her bags inside the door, I moved some of the boxes next to the wall. I'll get these out of your way tomorrow. I nodded to the mountain of junk we'd accumulated over the years since we'd had the house. Okay, is this the guest room or Olivia's room? Neither. It was my wife's room. Serena looked confused, but I didn't bother to explain it to her. The details didn't matter right now. All that mattered was getting her to realize what she needed for herself. She was a scared, lonely, lost little in need of a daddy, and I was Daddy Dom needing a little to discipline and pleasure. Da, 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 da. That's the end. And I lost all my. I had Debbie right up to the end, so. Okay, so how many of you girls over here on YouTube's gonna go buy this book? Only 99 cents. Remember that. TikTok, book talk. Anybody on there listening? It's only 99 cents. Let me show you what the book looks like so that you can go get it. And I don't see the. I'm gonna turn you around. So that's what the book looks like. Fingers out of the way. By Annelise Reynolds. Domesticated Daddy. And we're going to go ahead and cut that off. Happy reading, everybody on TikTok. Where that went. How do I turn live off on TikTok? Oh, there it is. That's it. Yep. And now. Da, 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 da. I had 352 people pass by through there as I was reading. That was pretty good. Most of them stayed more than a minute or two, if that much. Oh, yeah, Ori, I know I'm evil. Oh, he's definitely a dominant. He's a daddy dom, certainly. You like that, Annalise? Thank you so much. I'm going to finish this book. Yeah, it was just for a few minutes. I mean, a few, 30 seconds, 10, 20, 30 seconds is all they were on there for. But, it's That's the first time I've ever gone live, so it's going to take a little time for me to get it out there. And I thought, why not do this two at once? Because as you can tell, my voice won't let me hardly read it too much. So I figured this would work okay. Alrighty, everybody got big plans for the weekend. I'm off tomorrow. I don't have work tomorrow. I might have two little boys, but I don't think so because their mama hadn't called me today. So I don't reckon I'll have them in the morning. And I got a chiropractor appointment in the morning. So Nina, you'll be hearing from me tomorrow. Tell Princess Brat that Nene will be calling. So I want everybody to be safe this weekend. Stay hydrated. Stay cool. If you're going to be outside, sunscreen, bug screen, plenty of fluids, please. I don't need anybody. Oh, I got Quinn Sunday. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought we'd moved out the Sunday ones. Okay, so I got Quinn on Sunday, and that should be it. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Get some books read, and happy reading.